Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Gopijana Vallabha Girivardhari. Gopijana Vallabha Girivardhari. Yashodanandana Rajajana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana. Yamunatira Vanachari. Yamunatira Vanachari. Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Gopijana Vallabha Girivardhari. Yashodanandana Rajajana Ranjana. Yamunatira Vanachari. Yamunatira Vanachari. Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jayo Radha Madhav, Jayo Radha Madhav, Radha Madhav, Jayo Radha Madhav. Jayo Jagannatha, Jayo Jagannatha, Jayo Baladeva, Jaya Subhadramaya. Jaya Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai, Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Prabhupada. जय विश्वपाल परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य सुतर सत श्री श्रीमद अभय चरणारविंदम भक्ति वेदांत स्मृति प्रभुपाद की प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्तवृंद की श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंद राधा कुंद गिरि गोपाल धाम की वृंदावन धाम की मथुरा धाम की जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की मायापुर नवद्वीप धाम की गंगा माई की यमुना माई की तुलसी देवी की वृंद देवी की हरिनाम संकीर्तन यज्ञ की जय समवेत गौर भक्तवृंद की जय निताय गौर प्रेमानंदी all the rest they assembled devotees all the rest they assembled devotees all the rest they assembled devotees all the rest to Sri Guru Sri Gauranga all the rest to Srila Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayan Namaskrityam Naram Chaivan Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Dayamudhirayet Nashtapraye Swabhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Utamashloke Bhaktir Bhavati Nashtiki. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam Canto 2, Chapter 9, Text 38 and 39. You can repeat after me. Shri Shuka Uvacha Sampradishyaivam Ajano Sampradishyaivam Ajano Jnanam Parameshtinam Jnanam Parameshtinam Pashyatas Tasya tad rupam Pashyatas tasya tad rupam Atmano nyarunad dharihi Atmano nyarunad dharihi Shri Shuka Uvacha Sampradishyaivam Jnanam Parameshtinam Pashyatastasya tada rupam Atmano nyarunadharihi Shri Shuka Uvacha Sampradishyaivam Jananam Parameshtinam Pashyatastasya tad rupam Atmano nyarunadharihi. Sumam Shri Shuka Uvacha Pradishyaivam Atmano nyarunadharihi. Mataji. Majano Jnanam Parameshtinam Pashyatastasya tadrupam Atmano nirunadharihi. Okay. Shri Shuka Uvacha. Shri Sukadeva Goswami said, Sampradesha, fully instructing Brahmaji, Evam, thus, Ajanaha, the Supreme Lord, Jananam, of the living entities, Parameshtinam, and the Supreme Leader, Brahma, Pashyata, while he was seeing, Tasya, his, Tat Rupam, that transcendental form, Atmanaha, of the Absolute, Nirunat, disappeared, Harihi, the Lord, the personality of Godhead. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki. Sukadeva Goswami said to Maharaja Pariksit, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Hari, after being seen in His transcendental form, instructing Brahmaji, the leader of the living entities, disappeared. Purport. In this verse, it is clearly mentioned that the Lord is Ajanaha, or the Supreme Person, and that He was showing His transcendental form, Atmano Rupam, to Brahmaji, while instructing him in the summarization of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam in 4 verses. He is Ajanaha, or the Supreme Person, amongst Jananam, or all persons. All living entities are individual persons, and amongst all such persons, Lord Hari is supreme, as confirmed in the Shruti mantra, Nityo Nityananam Chetanas Chetananam. So there is no place for impersonal features in the transcendental world as there are impersonal features in the material world. Whenever there is Chetana, or knowledge, the personal feature comes in. In the spiritual world, everything is full of knowledge, and therefore, everything in the transcendental world, the land, the water, the tree, the mountain, the river, the man, the animal, and the bird, everything is of the same quality, namely Chetana. And therefore, everything there is individual and personal. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam gives us this information as the supreme Vedic literature, and it was personally instructed by the Supreme Personality of Godhead to Brahmaji, so that the leader of the living entities might broadcast the message to all in the universe in order to teach the supreme knowledge of Bhakti Yoga. Brahmaji, in his turn, instructed Narada, his beloved son, the same message of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. And Narada, in his turn, taught the same to Vyasadeva, who again taught it to Sukadeva Goswami. Through Sukadeva Goswami's grace, and by the mercy of Maharaja Pariksit, we are all given Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam perpetually to learn the science of the absolute personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna. Om Jnana-timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshuru Militam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Okay, before starting, I will seek for the blessings of all the devotees in order to successfully share some realizations on this verse. Most of the difficulties that we face in our devotional process come because we see the devotional process as a set of rules and regulations rather than a relationship with the Supreme Lord. Most of the difficulties come from there. Difficulties to control the mind, distractions, attachments, fears, all of those things come because we're not able to see that behind everything we're doing, there is a person. And this person is a real person, like you are seeing me and I'm seeing you. I'm real and you are real. It's a real person. So sometimes we become very good at the mechanistic aspect of devotional service, like chanting, singing, reading, hearing, and all these things. There's a mechanistic aspect to that. But then there is a relationship. And when we are not thoughtful and introspective, meditative, which is actually one of the qualities of a devotee, to be thoughtful, then our devotional practice becomes very dry, just a set of rules and regulations. And the mellows, the sweetness, and the rasa is not there, is not present. Although everything in devotional service is full of rasa and beauty, if we don't see that in connection with the Supreme Person, with the Lord, then it becomes dry, and then we end up in a position where we have to find enjoyment, because that is our nature. Like the Vedanta Sutra mentions this, right? Srila Prabhupada was saying yesterday in the class, Anandamayo Bhyasat. We are constantly looking for satisfaction, for Ananda. If we don't get it from the spiritual world, we have to get it from the material world. So, therefore, here, Srila Prabhupada makes, there is a reference and there is a highlight to this aspect of the Lord, his feature of Atmano Rupam. And what does it mean? That the form of the Lord is made out of consciousness. He is conscious, not like our bodies are made out of pieces, right? And then we have the soul. The form of the Lord is made out of consciousness. That's all it is. It's transcendental, it's absolute. It's not relative, right? Like, for example, our bodies are relative. They can be seen and perceived and experienced from different perspectives, right? But from other perspectives, not. But the form of the Lord can be experienced at all time, all places and circumstances. There is no limit to how and where and when we could experience the Lord. So, why? Because He is Atmano Rupam. He is everywhere. He is within everything, fully. So, the Lord is there constantly. He is present, there, available all the time to interact with us, to have a loving personal relationship. So, and it's not up to Him so much, because He's already there. He's not going anywhere. He's there. Like He's here everywhere. So it's up to us. It is up to us to build a relationship. Right? He's already there for us, but we have to be there for Him. All right? So now the question is, how do we do that? How can I establish a loving relationship with the Lord? That sometimes it seems to disappear, even though we are so engaged in the process of devotional service. Right? And so the answer is, it's very simple, right? The answer is like, and we see this in the attitude of the Vrajavasis, the Gopis, and the intimate associates of the Lord. They have a simple relationship with the Lord, right? It's not complicated. It's simple, right? They are not great philosophers. They're not yogis. They're not jnanis. They're anything like that. They're bhakti yogis. So it's very simple. So the answer is that the Lord can be the farthest thing that can ever be. The most unreachable thing you can ever conceive. Krishna can be that. but He can also be the most closest and intimate thing that could ever be in our lives, right? So He can be the farthest and the closest, like the Upanishad says, right? The Lord can be, the Supreme Lord is the farthest thing, the biggest, but it's also the most insignificant and minutest and small thing. So what makes the difference? What makes the Lord be the farthest thing, the most unreachable thing that could ever be? Or what makes it the closest, most intimate, most sweet, most personal thing? Anybody would like to give it a shot? Sri Madhava ki, Sri Gaurnitai ki, Sri Jagannath Baladeva Subhadra Maharani ki. Anyone would like to say what would you feel is the one thing that makes the Lord be the closest or the farthest thing? Okay. And the question is what's the first step in developing love? Okay. Chanting? Chanting? Prasadam? Yes. By attraction to the Lord? Someone else? Okay, so sometimes we can be taking prasadam, we can be chanting the holy name, we can be hearing, and not necessarily we experience the Lord. He's there, right, as the closest thing, but we don't feel. I don't know if you ever felt this. I have felt this sometimes. In our devotional life, there are periods of dryness. We don't feel the Lord. And there are periods of you feel the Lord very much. So, like Prabhupada says, Krishna consciousness is simple for the simple, and is complex for the complex. So the only thing that is required to have the Lord as the most intimate friend is the acceptance that that's what He is. Nothing else is required. You just accept. Like when a child doesn't speculate whether this woman is my mom or not, or this man is my dad or not. They accept it as a fact. This is my mother. That's it. And because there is that acceptance, therefore there is a rasa. Before rasa appears, before that parental rasa can appear, there is an acceptance. You have to accept that. And then from there is interaction, right? So this is a very important point, because the only thing that we're looking at in our devotional life is devotion, is affection, as for example, we are sitting in front of the deities and we want to see Krishna as a person, as a real person, not just even as a murti, right? Because murti is still is a language that is used, it's a technical language to help our material consciousness to understand that now the Supreme Lord has appeared here. Right? When a pure devotee is standing in front of the deity, he is not saying Murti, he is saying Krishna. He is saying Srimati Radharani, Jagannath, and Gaurnitai. They don't see anyone else. Right? And we see that behavior and the gopis as well. And in its most perfection in Srimati Radharani, right? She sees Krishna everywhere. She sees anything that reminds her of Krishna, and then she thinks that that's Krishna. She sees the tamal tree looks black, so she runs to hug the tamal tree because she thinks that is Krishna, right? So that is what we need. We need to have the simplicity of the child, to be able to have that constant association of the Lord. And so when we're chanting the holy name, we are not doing an activity of yoga, or trying to concentrate the mind, trying to hear, focus the mind. That's important. That is very important in the beginning stage, right? But it can become very easy when we understand, we accept that this is Krishna. Krishna is the holy name, and I'm having a personal interaction with Him right now when we're chanting. Or when we sing in the holy name, with the kirtan, then we know that the Lord is here. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is here, present with us, and He's hearing our chanting, right? And He's checking how sincere we are. How much are we endeavoring to make sure that when we're chanting, we are doing it just to please Him. When we're choosing a nice melody, playing the kartals nicely and the mridanga nicely, we're actually doing it because we want to create a melodious sound to please the Lord, right? So it's a very personal affair. Now, actually, this whole chapter of this specific chapter is actually Lord Brahma. This is before the creation happened, and Lord Brahma is trying to now understand how is he going to do this. He has no idea whatsoever how to do it, and so therefore he starts to perform tapasya to meditate on the Lord, and the Lord appears, and Lord Brahma asked the Lord, "Please, my Lord, give me the knowledge that is required for me to do my service, and specifically so that I don't become proud at doing this service of creating the entire universe," right? And the Lord then says just 4 verses, right? That with these 4 verses we have been, in the last few classes, the Chatushloki, we've been hearing about these 4 verses, in which basically the whole philosophy of Krishna consciousness, it is there, right? Where the Lord says precisely that. Because the Mayavadis, they think, the Brahmavadis, they think that those who practice devotion, we are very simplistic, we're sentimentalists, and we have no philosophy. That's what they think. And they think that they are the philosophers. They are the ones who are beyond sentiment. But actually, this attitude that we've been talking about of the attitude of a child, the simplicity of a child of devotion, it's actually based in the most profound and technical philosophy that could ever be, right? That's actually there. It's a simple thing. The most simple feeling is based on the most complex, sophisticated philosophy. And then Krishna says that philosophy to Lord Brahma, and he says that before there was anything, that was me. And now the only thing that there is also me. There is nothing but me. And after, when this whole thing disappears, the only thing that remains will also be me. Nothing more, right? And then Krishna says right after that, and anything that appears to be of any value, anything that for us or for Brahma appears to have any value, that is me. There is nothing else but me. Because for Brahma, his service is going to be, he's like engineer. So he's going to create the whole universe. So he has a lot of value for this. Just like we have value for so many different things, every one of us. Right? Someone might like to cook, someone might like to distribute books, someone might like to speak philosophy or give class, someone like to do kirtan or do fundraising, and like that. We have different values according to our karma, guna karma. So Krishna is saying to Brahma that your value, the value that you have for creation, that is me. Don't think that is something else, that is you, or there is something separate. Don't think that there is any creation that is separate from me. That is actually me. So there is a key point for Brahma not to become proud, to understand that everything is Krishna. And then the Lord then says that, and Brahma might think that, yeah, but how is everything you? Right? How would everything that I have, for which I have value, how that can be you? And then Krishna says, why? Because I am within everything created, and I'm also out of everything. Right? And then the Lord says, and any person who is a sincere student, or a good, determined and disciplined devotee or student of the absolute truth must search for me like this, directly and indirectly. And so directly means like that, like Krishna is here directly, right? There's a personal relationship. That simple feeling that a child has for the mother or we have for a friend, like that, no speculation. He's the Lord, He's everywhere. He's everywhere for us, and we can always encounter Him in sweetness if we want to do this, right? But the Lord is also, indirectly, we should also approach Him. And how we approach Him indirectly, through those things that are still our anarthas, because we still have material desire, we have anarthas, we have a specific attachment, all of us, right? There are things, as Brahma, he likes to create, that he's anartha. He likes to create, and now he's going to engage that conditioned nature in the law of service. So, in our case, it is our duty to introspect very deeply what is it that is our attachment? What is the one thing that is taking us away from having that constant relationship with Krishna? What is the one thing? We have to contemplate. And then after that, understand that that one thing, whatever it is, it can be a car, supercar, or super phone, or I don't know, a very nice house, whatever it is that you like. The one thing that attracts you, and that is specific element or item or situation, the one thing, that value, that is Krishna. And it's nothing else. It's not the material elements, because they are dead. They are, this thing is dead, this table. A car outside, it's just a combination of atoms. There's no rasa in it. But still there is something that attracts you. That's the meaning. Like philosophers nowadays, they speak about meaning. In science and the philosophy of materialism, right, they call it actually physicalism and philosophy, they cannot explain the existence of meaning, right? Because meaning is an experience. An experience cannot be explained through physics. Is anyone here with physics background? You, Prabhu? Yeah. So what are the fundamental properties of physics? It's like charge, spin, momentum, mass, these things. That's all it is, right? The study of these fundamental properties of physics is the philosophy of materialism. Right, where they say that there is no God, there is no soul, there is no. But if that is the view that we have of the world, you cannot explain the most important thing that we all have, which is consciousness, which is experience. Not possible to explain, impossible, right? So, but Krishna is telling us what everything is. This is the highest philosophy, right? Like he says in the Bhagavad Gita, Vyasadeva sarvamiti, right? I am, everything is Vyasadeva. And to be able to see everything as Vyasadeva, as Krishna is to be the topmost Mahatma. Samahatmas durlava, right? To be able to see Krishna within everything and interact in a loving relationship with Him and having a remembrance of Him, that is the highest form of philosophy, and also highest form of cognitive behavior, right? So then the message is actually very simple. Now putting all this what Sukadeva Goswami is trying to tell us here, and Prabhupada in the verse. And now what we can extract from here for our personal practice, what the message could be taken is that it's very simple, that Krishna is everywhere and we can interact with Him. The only thing that we need to do is to recognize the fact. In the 10th canto of Bhagavatam, there is a beautiful verse. It's actually Vyasadeva, I think he's speaking to Krishna when he appears in this cell. And he says that the glow of the moon, the brilliance of fire, the radiance of the sun, the twinkling of the stars, the flash of lightning, the permanence of mountains, and the aroma and sustaining power of the earth, all these are actually you. You see? So this is the vision of Vyasadeva. So the devotees actually see the world as it is. Only a devotee can see the world objectively as it is, which is one of the things that philosophers and scientists, they almost become very proud about. They think we see the world objectively as it is, right? And people who believe in God and the soul, they are living in the world of imagination. That's what they think. But actually, the reality is that only a devotee who has pure devotion for the Lord, that simple feeling of devotion for Him, only a devotee like that can see the world as it actually is, objectively, and no one else. Everyone else is living in a dream world. Everyone is dreaming. Everyone else is like shackled by ignorance, right? The atheist and the materialist, they are dealing with a rope, with a snake, thinking that it's a rope, and they are getting constantly bitten by this snake. And this poison is really poisoning their minds and their intelligence. And they're having a very, very insignificant, trivial life, right? But there is no hope, there is no meaning, there is no peace, there is no progress, there is nothing. There is only death, right? So therefore, yeah, we should always, as the Lord says in the previous verses, that we have to try to search for Krishna all the time, at every moment, directly in His holy name, in the daily form, as Prabhu mentioned, by taking prasadam also. Someone mentioned taking prasadam, by hearing Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, by singing in the kirtan. But also we have to see the Lord outside as well, everywhere, right? And then we will always be in association with Him. That is what we see. That's what the great acharyas taught us with their personal example, like Prabhupada. It's a constant Krishna conscious. You're only constantly Krishna conscious. There's not a moment in which you're not conscious of the Lord. So, anybody has any question on these points? No questions? There are no questions, it means two things. Either everyone is very hungry, or you understood everything. Yeah, so there's another point here where it's mentioned that the Lord is Ajanaha. Again, it just goes back to the same principle that He is a person. He is Ajanaha, or the Supreme Person amongst Jananam, or all persons. Right? All living entities are individual persons, and amongst all such a person, Lord Hari is the Supreme. And Srila Prabhupada makes reference on the nature of the spiritual world, where he says that everything is conscious. Everything is alive there. So the river, the trees, the plants, the grass, the flowers, everything is alive. In the material world, actually everything is Krishna, is His energy. Right? It's Lakshmi Devi, is the Lord's energy, is Him. In the spiritual world, the devotees take different forms, right, to interact with the Lord. So the devotees become a river, become a grass, or become a cow, become, like that. Everyone is engaged in the Lord's service because everything is full of consciousness, right? Consciousness and bliss. So that is the nature of the spiritual world, which is very opposite to the nature of this material world. Now, someone might ask, if in the spiritual world everything is Krishna, but in the material world also everything is Krishna, so how come we cannot see Krishna here? Why is there so much suffering and disturbance and so difficult to see the Lord? So the answer to that is that, again, as Krishna says in the Chatushloki, there is an illusion, there is Maya. Maya only exists in our mind. Maya doesn't exist outside. The world out there is no Maya. The world out there is Krishna, His energy. And it's just the interaction of the Lord with His energy. But Maya exists in our mind. And actually, Lord Brahma also in the first introduction of the Krishna book, in the first chapter of the Krishna book, Brahma says that Maya only exists in the mind of the living entity. It doesn't exist anywhere else. It's a perspective. That's what it is. So the only thing that we need to do to be out of Maya is to change the perspective. And how do we do that? Like abhyasas, by practicing. We practice all the time how to see Krishna within everything. Within everything and outside of everything as well, as we mentioned before. So it is a practice. Any questions on this? Or comments? Okay. So I was told that we could read the verse 39. Should I do that, Prabhu? Yeah? We have 10 minutes left, right? Okay. So it says, Antarhitendriyarthaya haraye vihitanjalihi sarva bhuta bhutamayo vishvam sasarjedam sapurvavat. The translation is, on the disappearance of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Hari, who is the object of transcendental enjoyment for the senses of devotees, Brahma, with folded hands, began to recreate the universe full with living entities as it was previously. Srila Prabhupada says, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Hari, is the object for fulfilling the senses of all living entities. Illusion by the glaring reflection of the external energy. The living entities worship these senses instead of engaging them properly in fulfilling the desires of the Supreme. In Hari Bhakti Sutadhaya, there is the following verse. Akshano phalam twadrisha darshanam hi tano phalam twadrisha gatra sangaha jiva phalam twadrisha kirtanam hi sudurlabha bhagavata hiloke. O devotee of the Lord, the purpose of the visual sense is fulfilled simply by seeing you, and to touch your body is the fulfillment of bodily touch. The tongue is meant for glorifying your qualities, because in this world a pure devotee of the Lord is very difficult to find. Originally, the senses of the living entity were awarded for the purpose, namely to engage them in the transcendental loving service of the Lord, or that of his devotees. But the conditioned souls, illusioned by material energy, because captivated by sense enjoyment. Therefore, the whole process of God consciousness is meant to rectify the conditional activities of the senses and to re-engage them in the direct service of the Lord. Lord Brahma thus engaged his senses in the Lord by recreating the conditioned living entities to act in the recreated universe. This material universe is thus created and annihilated by the will of the Lord. It is created to give the conditioned soul a chance to act, to return home, back to Godhead, and servants like Brahmaji, Naradaji, Vyasaji, and their company become busy with the same purpose of the Lord, to reclaim the conditioned souls from the field of sense gratification and return them to the normal stage of engaging the senses in service of the Lord. Instead of doing so, converting the actions of the senses, the impersonalists began to make the conditioned souls senseless, and the Lord also senseless. That is improper treatment for the conditioned souls. The diseased condition of the senses may be treated by curing the defect, but no uprooting the senses altogether. When there is some disease in the eyes may be cured to see properly. Plucking out the eyes is no treatment. Similarly, the whole material disease is based on the process of sense gratification, and liberation from the diseased condition is re-engagement of the senses to see the beauty of the Lord, hear his glory, and act on his account. Thus, Brahmaji created universal activities again. One another thing is that in order to feel inspired in our devotional process, it's also important to see what's there waiting for us. What is the destination? What is the goal? And the goal is very much shown to us in the pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Right? One of the reasons why Mahaprabhu appeared, of course, what we know, we hear it many times, is to he wants to experience the love of Srimati Radharani, and also he wants to reclaim the living entities. And one of these very important preaching activities is to show us what is there for us, by himself showing what is the experience that is there when we're able to meet the Supreme Lord. When we achieve perfection in our devotional practice, what happens to us, right? And so we see in the pastimes of Mahaprabhu, his ecstatic symptoms are like windows, physical windows, that help us to see what it means to experience the Supreme Lord, right? The amount of sweetness and bliss that is experienced is something that we cannot imagine, but it is achievable to us, achievable for us. So it's like, for example, when it's mentioned when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to Jagannath Puri, he saw Lord Jagannath for the first time, right? And the Lord immediately fainted. He became unconscious. So he could not tolerate being seen. He could not tolerate seeing the Supreme Lord, to see Krishna. His emotions were so strong and so powerful that he just became unconscious, right? Not like us, that we see the Lord and like we try to see, to feel something. No. Mahaprabhu saw Lord Jagannath, he just fainted, right? And so Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, who is he's an incarnation of Brihaspati, right? Brihaspati. So he came and he was accustomed to see people doing this as an imitation. So he thought that this must be an imitation as well. So but at the same time, when he saw Mahaprabhu, he saw a very special type of, he saw that this was not an ordinary sannyasi. He was very beautiful, extremely beautiful. And there was a special radiance, it's like a effulgence emanating from his body. There in the dark altar of Lord Jagannath, Lord Mahaprabhu's body was effulgent. And he was totally unconscious. So Mahaprabhu's body is carried to Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya's house, right? And then, anyway, we know the pastime. Later on, the Lord wakes up, and and then there is a whole pastime with Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. And Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, he was a Brahmavadi, right, Mayavadi. He had a lot of knowledge, but unfortunately he had not experienced the sweetness of devotion. So his heart was very dry. And and he felt the same way. He was confused because he noticed that whatever this sannyasi was experiencing was genuine. But at the same time, he was so confused and covered by jnana that he was not able to really appreciate what was going on. So he felt that this sannyasi is very young, right? He can easily fall down from his stage of sannyasa renunciation. Besides that, he's so beautiful. I should do some service to him, perform my duty to enlighten him with the knowledge of Brahmavadi, Tattvavadi, right? So he can be a proper sannyasi and renounce this material world, like Prabhupada is saying in this purport, right? Destroy his senses so he's not attracted to the material world. And so that's when he starts giving the Lord classes on Vedanta Sutra and all the Upanishads, like that. But the point is, it turns out that after some time, the Lord knew more about him. He knew more of jnana than Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya could ever known, right? And at the end, Mahaprabhu shows him the beauty of devotional service, of sweetness, by manifesting his Sadbhuj form to Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. And then after that, his life changes, right? It's like if he got life back into his body, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. right? He just ended up also dancing in the street like a crazy man, right? Because before he used to think like that all the Gyanis used to think that these devotees of Mahaprabhu, they're just sentimentalists from Bengal. All the Bengalis are very sentimental. So they are like that, just singing and dancing, right? So, but after experiencing the sweetness of devotion, then Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya also, like bitten by a snake, he became crazy out of love for Krishna. So, in our devotional process, it's important, very important, essential to meditate, to look for the Lord directly and indirectly as Krishna asks us to do, and also to keep in mind what is there waiting for us, right? It's an ocean of rasa, of sweetness, right, that will melt our hearts, right? And then as Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, and Prabhupada mentioned yesterday, how it goes, Mahabhuta, you can help me with this. Anyone who achieved the stage of Brahmabhuta. Yeah, Brahmabhuta Prasannatma, na shochati na kankshati. Yeah, so that Brahmabhuta means that you experience bhakti or prema. That's actually Brahmabhuta, the Brahmabhuta platform. The beginning stage is peace, right? The shanti. That is shanti, like you feel peace in your body, you feel peace in your mind. But the third shanti goes for devotion. And when they chant this yagya shanti, 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 the third shanti is referring to pure love for Krishna, or prema. So, when we experience devotion for Krishna, then there is nothing else that would actually take the happiness away from us. Nothing. We can be in the most difficult situation, life situation, but it will not do anything to us, because we are in love. It's like when someone falls in love, right? I'm sure all of you experienced this at some point in your lives. When someone becomes attached to someone else, then it's like you are intoxicated. And the material world is a very painful intoxication, but but it's like it covers all your senses and your mind, right? And you have a sense like you are some sort of like happy, like that. So, but when this happens with Krishna, then what happens to us is what we see happens to the gopis and all the Vrajavasis and Vrindavan, right? They're all the time in ecstasy, all the time in ecstasy. Even though they have been attacked by demons, they quickly come out of that. It's like a trauma. Imagine that, a woman comes and first disguises as a beautiful woman, and everyone is like, wow, such a beautiful woman, and she's so beautiful and so elegant that everyone just give her entry to the most inner places of the house, the inner, the room where the baby is laying down. Beautiful woman comes in, it's so beautiful, so shining, and then they let this woman take the baby, right? And then this woman tries to poison the baby, and then she becomes a huge monster, horrible, as we hear from the Krishna book. Horrible monster, screaming, yelling, 12 miles tall and running. Imagine the trauma. Like if we saw this in our lifetimes, we'll probably just end up in a hospital, a mental hospital, right? So, but this is the kind of things that the Brajavasis experience, right? And Trinavarta, Yashodamata loses Krishna. Suddenly, Krishna disappears nowhere after a storm, right? Imagine the amount of pain, and they're going through the emotional trauma. It's very high. But because they had that association with Krishna, and they're so simple and so Krishna conscious, they're very, very, very easily able to give this up. And in fact, these traumas help them to be more Krishna conscious, right? So that is the power of devotional service. That's the power of service when it's done with devotion. Because again, it's important to remember this, that devotional service has two parts, the service and there is a devotion. The service is the activity that we do all the time. But the devotion is the mind, is the consciousness, is why are we doing this service? That's what makes a devotional service. It's not the service, it's not like The service is not singing for the deity, like the mechanical act of singing or playing, using the body. That is service also. Krishna takes it as service, but it's indirect. But serious devotional service is when we do it because we want to please Krishna. Like, why am I singing? Why am I giving class? Why am I cooking? Why am I doing fundraising and all of those things? Or why am I going for book distribution? Because I want to please Krishna. Krishna is happy if I do this. So that becomes very mature devotional service. Any questions or comments? Okay, so we'll end the class. I think we're over time. Śrīla Prabhupada ki, Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam ki, Samaveta Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki, Nitaya Gaura Pramanandi. Hari Om.
His Grace Yaduraj Prabhu ji ki jai.